Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Let us go into an overview about the theoretical part of the business rule. What are the users? What are the steps involved? What is the process involved? And what is the advantages? Then we will go into the system. In SuccessFactor, we have this feature that is called as a business rule. SAP introduced this feature that whenever an action is being performed, we in the SAP application, those action has to be executed automatically. Rather than the action to be performed, the output should be performed manually. It should be executed automatically. Suppose for justifying my sentence, if I want to take an example, let us take something as a scenario where an end user is trying to change the employee's location or employee's position or employee's any organization structure value. And when the end user will click on the save, if they want a scenario that it should not be immediately, first of all, it should do to approval process, then it can be routed with the help of a work and workflow can be executed. Workflow will trigger, or in this scenario, if the rule is there, business rule is there. That is what when we are giving a communication to the system that we are performing an action, an event and event reason is offering how for the end user object. Here also an event and event reason will trigger. But triggering the event and event reason, here also we need to go with the help of a business. Finally, for any scenario which is related to the employee related fields, we should go with the concept of business rule. Now what the business rule says. Business rules are used to add application logic to determine the outcome of the change made to a particular data in the system. When we are writing a business rule, the business rules are written on the basis of some logic. Logic means some conditions. For example, now, as I told you, I am trying to change. I am creating a scenario where I am trying to change the employee's location. I am going to be having I change the location. What is the new location and what is the previous location? With the comparison of the new location and with the help of the previous location, I need to feed it out a condition that if I am drafting in the business rule and if any end user makes the same type of a scenario, then system will try to compare the scenario with the business rule condition. First of all, before triggering, the business rule system will try to identify whenever that action is performed, connecting to that action any business rule is there or not. If any business rule is there connecting to that action, what is that rule? What is the condition in that rule? Then system will try to compare that condition, and when system will try to compare that condition, if condition is getting satisfied, which is there in the business rule with the scenario which has been happening, then the rule will trigger, and in that rule, whatever is it is a event reason, or if it is a workflow which we are setting, that we will get trigger and it will be executed automatically. That only, it is saying business rules are used to add applications to logic to determine the outcome of a change made to a particular data in the system. For example, you can set up a business rule to trigger certain actions when data is being added, or it has been changed, or it has been. This is the basic definition of the business rule. Now coming into the steps. When we come into the steps, what are the steps which are involved in it? There are two steps, mainly, which is involved into it. One is creating a business rule and second is assigning the business rule. In mdefect object also, we were creating the workflow and we are assigning the workflow. Here workflow can be triggered when with the help of the business rule. For that we need to create business rule. When in the first step, when we want to create a business rule, then how to create a business rule? In the business rule, we need to define which action the system performs when specific conditions are met. In the business rule, we need to define which action. It is a location, it is a salary change, it is a position change, it is a department change, or the P8 is a supervisor change. Whatever is the action, just specify in the system that from when specific conditions are met. For that again, under creating a business rule, there are two things, creating a condition and creating a statement. When we go in to create a business rule, first of all, we need to go and create the condition. What is the condition? We want to go and create it. What is the condition? That is if, then and else. These are the three pillars of the logic which we want to look on, and among these three areas only we will be trying to configure the condition. Creating a condition. When you want to create a condition, we want to, first of all, the first part which we used to look is the if section. There is these other sections. In the if section, while creating a condition in the if section of the rule, we need to find which conditions need to be met. We need to create a condition in the if section. Once we create a condition, then if this condition is been met, then that will be creating a statement. That is the second part in the business rule. Statement means what? Then if the condition is been met in the if section, then in the then section of the rule, we need to define how the system react when the conditions are. Suppose we are creating a condition if the location, a calendar value, is not equal to the location previous value, this is the condition. If this condition is met, how you are creating a statement? Then you want to set the event reason value for event reason. Set the event reason value to be equal to. And x, y, whatever is the x, y, z means that is the event reason code which you have already created. Finally, you are triggering the event reason with the help of this condition. But earlier what was happening? Whenever you are making the changes in the system, you are trying to do the event and event reason manually entering into the system. You are notifying to the system that this is the event and event reason which is occurring. But now you are not entering it manually. With the you have created a condition and the statement. And once the condition is getting satisfied, once the condition has been met, as per the scenario, the statement will be set in the then section. And in the then section, whatever is the statement, suppose you have wanted to do the event reason. That is the statement. Event reason will be triggered automatically. Event reason will be triggered automatically on the basis of the scenario which you are performing. And that scenario will be compared in the first section, that is the if section. Is it clear? Any question? Yes, but just one question. Will they be else gender question? Yes, yes. That only. I am again coming up. Suppose you see, whenever you are working on a business or something, a conceptual part, you will get a scenario. You need to understand the customer's requirement, that in that customer's requirement, how you want to draft the condition. Your condition can be restricted only to the if section and the then section, or you want to include the else statement or else section also. For putting the else section, let us take another scenario where you in the if section, you are creating some condition where for a particular field, you want to make the visibility to be equal to AD table. For a certain permission group, we have already completed LPP. In LPP, we have certain permission group. What we want to do is what the requirement from the business is that we have certain permission groups, HR admin, manager, service, ESS, lot of permission groups. Now customer 1. Whenever the HR admin will try to go into the employee profile, that field should be able to. But apart from that, for the others it should be only in the readable mode. It should not be able to. In that case, what will happen? In the if condition, you have to create a condition in this way that you have to include the permission group. That for this permission, if this permission group, if somebody is logged in as a user, then you need to set the visibility of that particular field should be equal to AD table. Else make the set, the visibility should be equal to no. In that case, what is happening? You have created a if condition, then you think the then section. You are setting the statement to the AD table, and in the else statement you are putting it. If otherwise you are making that particular field visibility as an app, then you are including the else. Apart from the else also you also have else e sports. If is one section, then is one section, and again if this is getting satisfied, otherwise else you are putting that it should be only readable, or it should not be visible like that. Now this if then section which is there, this is one block. When you go with if and then, but it is one block, got it. In this, if there is one condition which is been, if one condition is there in the if and it is setting the statement in the then statement again, if you want to include another condition after the end of the then statement, then you can go with the else if. You are linking or you are chaining the another condition with the first condition, then the another condition again. Else, if again you will write a condition and again you will create a statement, then statement that will be that if then will be the block 2. First block and second block, and after that if you are putting else, make this as a hidden arm, make this as a visibility as an arm. What you are doing in a single business, you are drafting two different conditions with the connecting of else. If these if, then else if are the logical operators. These are called the logical operators, which will help us to create a condition in the while creating the business. Is it clear? The first step is to create a business, or second step is to assign the business, or creating a business, or can be done with the help of creating a condition. And for creating condition, these are the logical operators which are there. We have another logical operators also, that is and we have all also. These and all operators can also be included in the if section. Now you are creating a condition. If, then else, you are stopping that particular. If, then condition there only with the help of adding else. If you want to again connect with another condition, you will be using else. This is clear. Now if in the if, then also if you want to give some connecting condition with the probability by using the log, another logical operator, that is and all. Suppose if I am putting a condition in this way, that if the legal entity, let us take, if the legal entity country equal to France, and sorry, if the legal entity equal to France, and I am now using an operator, and if the permission group login user should be equal to H, R at a minimum France. If we are trying to add two if conditions, with the help of connecting and means mandatory. These two conditions are there, that the whatever the changes is happening, that changes is being made by the H, R at a minimum France. And it is made to the employee profile whose legal entity country is France, then you will set the statement. Then we will be using the AND operator. All operator means if, let us take, you have a 2 AR at a minimum permission group. One is for the France and one is for, let us take, Belgium. If the permission group HR at a minimum plan or the permission group HR at a minimum Belgium is there, then set the statement. Set this field. Visibility should be equal to any table. Any of the HR at a minimum, either from France or from the Belgium, is accessing. Then we are setting up the visibility equal to any table. These are the operators according to the situation we will try to use, and means mandatory both if should be there. Condition should be there when you are performing an action. All means any of it. Understood here? It is something how you are juggling these operators according to the requirement. Finally, you don't want to make anything very complex and you don't want to make the thing rest of it. Rules should be defined in a very simple and very understandable way, but you should need to understand what exactly is the scenario, and according to that, when you are drafting a rule condition, according to that, only later you need to do the testing also. If condition is something and you are doing the testing in other way, you cannot able to get a design present. If condition is correct but you are doing testing in other way, the result will not become. Condition and the testing should be parallelly seen to each other, synchronized to each other. That is one. Now coming into the assigning the business rule. When you come into the assigning the business rule is only triggered when it has been assigned to the corresponding object field business process. The business rule is only triggered when it has been assigned to the corresponding. Rule will only trigger when you are assigning to a particular object or a particular field. When you go into an employee in an employee profile, you can see various portal itself. Right? Personal info, job info, employment info. These are the portal. Right? These Porto X, we have already completed BCUI, right? Manage Business Configuration, where you are defining all the employee related skills. Right. With the earlier it was there in succession at a model. Now we can use in BCUI also, correct? When we were completed Manage Business, you have seen one section was that trigger rule section. I told that when we start with the business rule, we will again come back to that section. When you open in Manage Business Configuration left side, whatever you are seeing, that is HRS element, right? Those are called HRS element. Those HRS elements are nothing but the portal X. If you have created a condition for a particular portal, it is supposed to have created a condition for job information. And in this job information, you have a form in some action. System will try to see any business rule is there which is related to that particular portal at all. That is job information. When you are creating a rule, that is the first step. We need to assign that rule to that particular portal at all particular HRS elements. In our case, the HRS element is supposed job information. Here also it is justifying the sentence that business rule is only triggered when it has been assigned to the corresponding object, means that portal. Over all object, if you are assigning means over all portal, that is job information. Field level assigning means in that portal you may be having multiple fields, but that rule should only work when you are collecting to a particular field. Then what will happen is that field, the value is getting changed. Then only that rule should trigger, then you will assign that the field level. That is the difference between an object level and a field level. Is it clear? Any questions? Clear. Again, I am repeating it in HRS element in Management Business Configuration. When you go there, you have an object and various fields. That is HRS element is the object. HS element is the object. That is job information and permanent information. Under HRS element, what you can see HRS field, right? Yes, in HRS fields are there. You can assign the rule to the HRS element also or to HRS field also. Got it. Now you are going to HRS. Element means you are going to job information, right? You can directly assign to job information means in the HRS element job information. Whatever fields are there, it is that rule is applicable to any of these fields, right? Giving them multiple, you are giving a scenario that any of the fields can be added into that rule and the rule can work for any of the fields. That is the reason because you are assigning that rule to the object level. Now, if I am saying that you want to assign the rule only to the field level means for the position or for the location. Now for a particular position, only if I am assigning, it means if that position value is getting changed, then only the rule should be changed. If that is the reason that I am going with the field level, that is the difference between an object and the field. When you are assigning the business, got it. That only it is saying that can be assigned to the corresponding object and the field. Now coming here, once we know that these are the two steps, after that, what is the generally the users of the configure business pool? I have created a concept, some points where we can able to understand what are the users of the business. First use is to set the default value. What is the meaning of setting up of the default value? For default value means what it says. You can define the default value for this position. Default value means, see, last year I was having a requirement from the customer when the employee or the manager initiate that termination, submit the termination, there is a under the termination. There we have a field that is called OK to the end. That OK token, we have a drop down value. If we want to make the drop down value by default as yes, and then we will go with this work, that is specify that setting the default value as the use that you can default the default value for the specific field. Whenever a user initiate the termination, that field default value should be coming as yes, and there should not be any option of selecting as no. Got it. Then conditional value, you can define which default value is set when a specific termination is met. That only I was telling you. If this condition is met, then how the system should we have example when the admin select the business unit. For example, admin select the business unit. The job classification automatically is usually be shared to the engineering understood. Here business unit and the job classification are connected to each other. This is something a conditional value. Coming to the field properties, that is the another one. Let me put the point here also. Now field call, you can default field visible or required. Just now I told you if you want to put the HR admin, the field visibility should be equal to very table or make it mandatory. Setting up the field property can also be possible, but I have a problem with this. Can we have the fourth point? What is the fourth point? Display error message. Display error message is something where whenever the end user is filling up something and if any mandatory fields are there or miss that particular field, then a how come message should be missed. It's specific that you can define that an error message is, for example, the user forgot to maintain a required field and get a customer specific as a message displayed while trying to see. Go ahead. That is one thing, and then we have the fifth point, that is validating the consistency of the field. You can define all the 11 fields are provided. Example, if I had been selected contract type. Suppose if an admin selected contract type with a fixed term value, the contract ended should be provided. This was also another scenario last year where whenever we are selecting the drop down value of the contract type, the contract ended should become automatically mandatory. That was some scenario which we got from the customer and we have to turn a business for that. These are some of the important uses of the business. Any question? These are some other. These are the uses of the case by when we are using the part of the base which we are taking over the part of the business. Any question? Any doubts in your mind? Before proceeding ahead, then we have this implementing business rule setting. For implementing business rule, first of all, we need to set up the probability, that is, select, the enable, the generic option. Then we have an option there where we need to enable the generic option. Then option, we need to enable it from the probability. Second step is that we need to go to the RPP permission, go into the administrative permission, and there we have to go to the metadata framework MTF. And in the RDP administrative permission, we need to enable this. All configure business object definition, manage data, configure business. All this option, we need to enable it. That is one part which we need to do after this. Once we have enabled it, then we can go into the system. When you go into the system, either you can go from a multiple center or you can directly type here configure business. Configure business rule. In the configure business rule, when you go into this screen, we can find what are the number of business rule which is already been configured in this system. Development system or the production system. The number of business rules will be showing here. You can see what is the number of business rules which has been there configured. That will be showing here. Then we can see certain tabs are there here. What is the use of these tabs? The first one, what is the first tab? In the first tab, we have the 6087 business rules. Now, if you want to go and search for a particular rule, if you know the name, you can go and search from the business rule here by putting the rule name here. That is also possible. And as on date. Otherwise, if you don't know the name of the rule, if you know the scenario, see every rule. When we are creating a rule, rule always depends upon the scenario. What is a scenario? You want to create a rule on the basis of compensation, on the basis of time management, on the basis of calibration, on the basis of the certain specific scenario. If you want to go, it is already predefined by SAP. Otherwise, commonly, if you are going with a common scenario, we have an option that is called as a basic. In the real time, whenever we are going and creating a scenario 80%, 80 to 90%, we will be always taking the scenario as a basic rule. That any of the conditions when we are drafting that can be covered under the basics scenario. Now, if you don't know the name of the rule and if you want to search, then you can go and search on the basis of the scenarios. With the help of the scenario also, you can able to go and search it. These are some standard scenarios and you can also see basic results of that here. Somewhere you can able to find the basic one also. Apart from that, this is the tab which is being helped us to search on the basis of the scenario. Now the another tab is that is last modified file. You have multiple, you have a team colleagues. If any other consultant has already made some changes, then you need to check what is the changes and you don't know the name of the rule. For in that case, you can go and search on the basis of last modified file. On the basis of that, you can able to go and make the changes and then you can able to identify who has made that changes with the help of the name by selecting the checkbox here. That is one thing. Then we have a rule type. Similar to the scenario, the rule type is also there, but rule type is not a mandatory one. We can ignore it. Then we have a base object. Base object is something in managed business configuration, how we connect a child's element with the portlet. Here also the base object connect with the portlet. Now you are making some changes into the job information portlet and you are creating a condition which is related to the job information. The base object should be taken as a job information rather than taking any other. When you take the base object as a job information, then whatever the fields are there under and job information, all the fields will be populating in that list, drop down list. According to that, we can able to create a condition. If we know the base object, then you can search on the base of the base object. These are some tabs are there. And for creating the rule, you can go and click on here, create new rule. But clicking on the plus sign. This is something, the scenario which I was discussing right now, where you can see these are the scenarios which is already predefined. Now, if you want to go and select any of this scenario, specific scenario, that is calibration, benefit, compensation, employee central code. Every scenario, you can see there are certain subcategories are there. That is specific to that particular scenario. Otherwise, if you want to go commonly, you can find here basic. This is the common scenario where you can click on the basic and you can click on the data. There in the right side, you can find these tabs are there. Here under the basic, when you go into the radio button, you can side. You can find who lady started, who type, description, base object. Whatever the mandatory fields are there, we need to fill on those fields. Let's take a scenario where I'm just trying to change the value for value of the position. And I want to create a rule condition. One more thing I just want to update. I think I earlier also have updated. We have an event reason. We have a val for both our different features. Whenever we want to create a condition, both the rule condition should be created separately for the val flow and separately event reason. Let's take a scenario where I want to create a condition for first of all, for the event reason. How I will try to create a condition. I will try to mention the rule ID. Everything can be created, mentioned by the developer, by the consultant. It is not specific required to be taken in full from the customer side. Let me take something where business or we have event reason. Let's take, I'm taking the change of the position change. We are taking care of the position change and I'm specifying some date here. For my understanding, I'm taking this and I will contact them, but I think I have. Rule name was also there. I do this date. I will just cut it and here I will mention the rule name and I will enter the tab, but I'll get it. Automatically it will be copied and I'll paste it here. Rule type, it is not a mandatory. Like a neighborhood, we role it based. Object, we need to understand. We are trying to create a rule whenever there is a change in the position. Position is coming under. While position is coming under, which portrait job information. We need to go and search for job information as a based object. When you will go and search the based object, you will find two things. One is job information. But most importantly, when we will be using the job information and job information model. Job information is used when you want to create a condition, where you want to create a condition for the current value, not for the previous value. whatever is the current value. You want to be 40-50% and you want to create a condition. Then you will go with the job information. Job information model is used when you want to produce some comparison between the current and the previous value. Then you will be going with the job information model. This applies to any of the portrait. Either it is job information, or it is an employment details, or it is address information, or it is a first class information. That will do things. One is a basic one and one is a model accounts. And that is one thing here. In this case, I am taking the model here and I will click on continue. And now when you enter into the screen, as I discussed, we can see basic information we have already taken, and here you can see the parameter. Parameter. First of all, I have taken a job information as this one. What is it as a basic? Now you have a requirement where you want to connect to the fields which are there in different code links that we call as a cross-portal business rule. In cross-portal business rule, SAP has certain limitation of as per the knowledge base editor. When you want to have a scenario where some fields you want to take it from job information and some field you want take it from compensation or from some other portal, then that is coming at cross-portal business. In that case, what will happen? We need to add additional base value. Here we have taken job information model. Again, for adding additional, you can go to the parameter and here you have a add parameter value. You can able to add the additional portal and then portal. That is the basic base option. Finally, suppose if I am taking a set of position. The rule will be you are trying to execute the rule between the two portal to base object, that is job information and the compensation, because the fields from both the portal will be connected to each other in the rules scenario. Otherwise, if it is only with the help of only for one portal, then you will be already taken as a base option. Then parameter is not required. That is the use of the parameter. Then come into the if conditions. If then else, or if you want to add. If this, if then is there, this is block 1. Where this is, if is the this day a condition which you are creating, and if this condition is getting satisfied, you are setting up the statement. Let us try to create a condition before creating condition here. We have the operator source. When you click on the arrow here, you can see and all operators are there. We have the copy option. We have the and the condition. That is also possible. And to connect those conditions, if you want to add, you want to use the operators and all that is also there. What we will do? We will try to create a condition for the position. When I click on the if condition, we have taken the base of data. It's all information model. Under job information model, you can see all the fields are coming, which I will show you in the employee profile. When you go and scroll down, our requirement was for the position. Let me take let and you can see it is all in alphabetical. When you scroll down, you can see here the position. If the position value, what is the position value? You are creating a condition. If the position value, now a position value is not equal to the position to the previous value. When I go and scroll down, you can see previous value. Why this value is coming? Because we have taken as a job information model. If you are taking as a job information, we will be only getting you will be not getting this option. It is only you will only try to create with a current value. My friend taking as a previous value. What is the condition here? If the job information position value is not equal to the job information position previous value, this is the condition, then you need to set up. How you will go and do the setting set? They are information. Set the statement. For that, this is the scenario we are doing for the event reason, right? Set the event reason. You can see event reason value. We need to select the event reason. What is the event reason value? I think earlier I have already configured the event reason value where it has been configured in manage of job structure. Correct. Let me go into manage of job structure. And here I will try to check the event reason. And let me search for event reason. Let us take here as a job in for change. This is something which I have created earlier. When we have created the event reason, we have connected this event reason value to the event also. You can see the event. Finally, we have want to notify what is the event and event reason to the system. What I will do, I will choose this event reason. And I will try to, because here I want to set the event reason value to be equal to. What is the value? That value can be in the input. Paste it here. Got it. If the job information position value to is not equal to the position previous value, then set the event reason value to be equal to. Got. Now you are, I am clicking on the set. Any questions here? Understood the condition here. You have created a simple condition. I leave this condition is getting satisfied. You are creating the statement here. Creating a business rule. There are two things, creating a condition and creating a statement, right? Now, in this case, if I want to also add and or, then also I can have this option, and then here I can add multiple conditions. If only you can include multiple conditions with the help of logical operator and or, that is one thing. Otherwise, this is one block. And after this block, if you want to, if this condition is there, else make this. Set the statement as this. If the condition is as, then only this you set it, setting this statement, else you are setting the statement this for others. That is the scenario. Then you will be using the else. Else if means you are created this as a block 1. Again you are trying to create another condition. That is done with the block 2. You will be having two condition, one is in block 1 and another is in the block. Got. These are the things we should know how to play with these operators and how to work on this. If scenario will come in a plate and it will be shown to you by the customer. You need to understand and you need to draft and frame the condition in with the help of the business. Customer will never know the SF language. Customer will try to explain you the inner business scenario. We need to try to figure out how we can able to draft, and again I am repeating the in the business will. Also, SAP has certain limitation and restrictions, as for example, but I'm only using job information model. But if a scenario is need to create a rule where I want to compare something with job information also, and also I want to take something with the other portal, compensation or something which is past line information, then we need to check is the business rule, that is the cost of portrait business will supports for these portraits or as per the KD. Because if you're not aware of it, you will try to create it as I need and try to test it and you will not find the result. Then you will always think that, oh, I have just created the rule but went wrong. Maybe the rule is correct, but that is the limitation from the SAP site. That also has to be communicated to the customer that your requirement, your scenario is not possible because that is the restriction from the SAP with the supporting KBS. I just saved it. I'm saving it. Once I saved it, this is something which I created for the event reason. Same thing, I will duplicate this screen. Once another created for event reason, another scenario, I will try to create the business rule. For that what I will do, I will just try to, we have an option of copying the rule. Right. Popping the rule means you don't want to make any changes here. Everything you want to take it as same, rather writing it again. You just want to customize it. Copy this and you can click copy the rule. You can give that a business rule. Here we can able to mention as WF. That rule is for the event reason. This rule is for the wallet flow. Got it. Then click on this and you are not tinkering or you are not making any changes on. You will just copying that part. Click on the copy. Now you can see every condition has been copied. The whole condition will be there for event reason. This is the new condition. This is the condition which we can able to customize. Now this is something that if condition we are today in the set statement, we want to include the wallet flow. Again for the wallet flow, we want to go to BUF. Can you see we have config option? Dev wallet flow. Here you will take the wallet flow config value to be equal to what is the wallet flow. How we have taken for this one, what you call it? Event reason. We will go and search here for the wallet flow. Already we would have created the wallet flow. Let me check the wallet flow. I had created for my previous section sessions. Let me scroll down. Let me take this one. You can see what is the wallet flow which is being created. All the level of approval we have already added here. Can you see step 1, step 2, step 3 and the contributor C? C role also my email ID is there. This is already created. I will not be creating this, but I will be using the code here. And I will be copying finally here. Now this is the another scenario which is for the wallet flow. And I will click on the save to do two different business rules. I have created one for the event for the wallet flow. Now the second step is to creating the business rule is done. We need to assign the business rule. Assigning the business rule. What is the configuration tool? What is the configuration which we need to go? We have to go to manage business configuration, right? Because that is the place where we have maintained all the portal and the fields. And it is positioned is related to this portal job information. Right, search for job information here. Go to job information. And below the field section, we have a trigger rule section, right? Let me go into the trigger rule. It is still processing. I will go into take action, make correction, which other just we can trigger rule. This is the trigger rule section, right? In the trigger rule, as I told you, as it is mentioned, that rule can be assigned at check level and the field level. This is the place where you are assigning at an object level. If you want to assign at a field level means see here, you can assign it at an object level here. When you are assigning at an object level, whatever the fields are there, you can see all these fields are there, right? The rule can be applicable to any of the field if the condition is being added in the rule. If you are assigning at a field level means you are taking only specific to a position. You can go to the details under the detail. Also, you have a rule trigger rule section. Can you see here? In the trigger rule, only it supports with the event type. There we have a concept of event type. When we are assigning the rule, there are 4 to 5 event types are there. Here when at a field level it only supports with on change. Whenever the field value of for this particular field we are set as on change, the rule will trigger. If that is the scenario, we need to assign that rule here. If the asked scenario is something where somebody is making a change, or if it is only for the view, then we will be going and assigning at an object when you go here. Now let's assign the rule here. When I go here, you can see job information model, and here on, say you have an on, say on it. On it means on initialization, means suppose you have opened a employee particular screen, you are opening automatically that a value will be coming. That is happening because a rule is getting triggered. And on the on view is also something where you are making some changes, but that will be only reflected in the on view. On say it is mean action is performed when you're saving some. Here, in this case, I'm selecting on save and one business rule, which I have taken this one. Let me see it here. Then another rule was for workflow. That workflow also, let me select our program. Here the workflow we need to properties. And if you want Do you think the development or the test instances if you are doing and checking your rule, if you want to that are deleting it? You can have an option of making it in setting. It is same. Once it is saved, we will go and box it to the user. This rule is a save. You have to go and duplicate this one and take it as scenario. Let's take a user for testing. Let's take a scenario. I will go to the panel. Let me go. To the action for performing the test. We'll show you if the rule is working or not. We should make a show. If any other rule is there with the same scenario, we need to go and disable the tool from the managers. One solution for a time game. That to check our rule is working correctly. Change job and copy info. Go to the job information. Let's take some date here. Suppose if I'm taking something as first of 2. And let me go and select and change the position. Suppose if I'm changing the position, I'm just trying to change here. I'm changing the position. I'm performing an action here, right where I'm changing the position. System will try to first of all check in the job information. Any rule is there or not. If the rule is there, then whatever the action which we have performed, that action will be added in the business. Now we have changed it. Now rule will work. We assign the rule on save. We have to click on save. I just check it. Let me check anywhere it is missing or not. You can see I change it. Certain areas also been updated. Let me save it. You can present is not a consistent value with associated object control engine value with. This may be before the event. You need to event present data change. Just give me a moment. This is happening because I will go here in pool, manage data. And I will go with the concrete nature and I will try to select IND. This one. And here how pay component is. The event reason is also mapped with each context. we need to check if our event reason is added there. You can see the event reason. Our event reason is not added. What was our event reason? Let me check ER_job info. Now let me add and save it here. I save. And again I will refresh it. And again I will close to. Let's click again the user. It and I will go for action. Let me take 30 as first too. Now let's scroll down, take the position. Select the position. Let me check if now it is locked correct here or not. Now you can see it is not allowing us to save, but you can see both with one change, both rules are getting triggered. You can see this is the event reason, right, which has been initiated for this user. And for this event reason, what is the workflow that works for? You can able to go and see the workflow. Now as I had it made all as a H. R admin, if you want to know what is the workflow, here only the flow is showing how the probably, but this is being configured for which workflow. If you want to know, keep the cursor, bring the cursor here. You can see the name of the workflow also will be showing. In this way, we can able to track what is the workflow which is getting triggered and the event reason which is getting. That's you know already because we have done it in the MDF case also. Once you submit it, it will go to the first level of approval and then we have already discussed in detail, right? We can proxy then and do this. Yes. If you want to check the status of the workflow, also manage. But for request, you can able to see as an approval also as a new and review and approve option is there. From there also we can able to check how the workflow is being designed. But here, most importantly, we can see both the rules are getting triggered. One is for the event and event. Now earlier, what was happening? Whenever you are clicking on save, you have to enter it manually, event and event. Now system is getting notified automatically. Got it. This is something how we can able to work on the business rule with the help of these operators and these if they're in this condition. If you know, because business would be something that you cannot buy, hurt something, or you cannot able to take anything in advance. You know, if you know how to play and how to work on these operators, then according to the scenario it is for which it's applicable to which outlet, which area you need to select the base. You have to select the scenario. Then you have to work on the if condition and setting up the state. And then according to that, you have to do the testing also in this way that this condition should satisfy. Got? Here we complete the concept of the business rule. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.